Welcome back to the Multifamily Marketers Podcast. I'm Josh Grillo, your host, co-founder here at Resident 360, and I'm also joined by my co-host, Caroline Mills. Caroline, how we doing this afternoon?
Hello, everybody. Josh, I was just thinking about you yesterday because we talk about our weather on here all the time with you being in San Diego. You're nice and sunshine and how nice it is. So yesterday in North Carolina, we were taking my dog out last night and we walked outside and I said, this is freezing. So I pull up the weather app. It was 21, feels like 1. Oh. Like literally just the number 1 feels like.
I will let you have that all day long. We're stuck in a fog bank. It is literally the last 3 days all week and it was just solid fog. Oh, it's horrible. I don't like the fog at all. So
yeah.
But I'll take that over 1 degree weather any day of the week. So
it is incredibly cold right now in North Carolina. Before Christmas, this is very, very cold.
What are you doing are you sticking around town for Christmas?
Yeah, we'll be around town. We've got some family luckily in the area. So the furthest we go is, maybe 45 minutes out, but it's really not too bad. Nothing crazy for us. So you guys staying in your sunny San Diego?
Yeah, we'll be here through the holidays. Absolutely, we'll be here.
Nice.
Doing it up. So today's show, we are going to be talking about property takeover secrets, how to set up a property for long-term success. And Caroline, before we jumped on the call, you had mentioned you had probably done something like 200 takeovers. So would that make you like the takeover queen?
I like to think it does. I think I deserve that title after that many.
Oh my gosh. And just a quick side note, everybody listening, this will be our last show for the 2025 year. We will pick back up. Let's see, this show will release this coming Wednesday, and then we'll pick back up that very first week in January. I think it's the week of January 5th. We'll have our next episode after this one post. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Now, back to our regular scheduled show with Property Takeover Secrets. So we're going to be breaking down what really makes or breaks a property takeover, especially from a marketing and operational standpoint. So let's tee it up, Caroline. Let's start right from the top. For anybody that's brand new in multifamily, we know we do get some new listeners that are just coming into multifamily roles. So for anybody that's new to multifamily, what actually qualifies as a takeover?
Yeah, so you kind of have 2 different sides to multifamily. If you're new to the industry, you'll learn these. You have the ownership side, and then you have the management side. And then you have big firms in the industry who do both. So you have your Bell, your Hawthorne, your, Greystar, Bazzuta, whoever it is. They may choose to own a property and choose to manage it, meaning all their money is into buying the property. They own it, but then they're also putting their own leasing team into the office. That's the owner and management side. Then you've got the side of buyers and owners who want to own apartment buildings. That's where they want to invest. That's where they want to build, but they do not want to run the office. They don't want to find all the teams. They don't want to figure out how to lease it. They say, I know I can build in this area, but I want somebody else to do all that part for me. That is then when they hire these management companies like your Greystar, like your Bazzuta, whoever it may be, to then come into the office and lease it up for them and manage it for them. When a takeover happens, it can be one of 2 things. One, a owner is not happy with who their management service is, and they want to go with a different person, or they choose to sell the asset. Now, when they sell the asset, the new owner comes in and they say, okay, sure, I'll keep the management company you have. That's fine with me. We'll continue on. Or they sell it and they do not retain management. And this seller says, okay, well, I already have someone I want to work with. I want to bring them in here. Or they say, I don't think the property's been performing well. I want to try somebody else and bring them in. So there's a lot of different ways this can happen, but essentially that is why they happen. So depending on either how the relationship is going, how the property is performing, can bring a lot of different sides and things into a transition and why they can seem so rocky or so hectic or so pressured.
All right, so what are the most common mistakes you see properties making right out of the gate?
Yeah, I would say, especially coming from a marketing standpoint, when you get in, you're worried about turning on ads, but you're not fixing that digital curb appeal. So we have plenty of episodes on why digital curb appeal is so important, but it is a busy time. So as a marketer, you don't want to come in and just say, okay, just keep the apartments.com package on, keep Zillow on, let's start running ads again. And then you're not actually looking at any of these assets. You're not actually making sure it's up to par of what your management company, one, wants to represent, but two, is it even correct on the property? So you need to be doing those digital curb appeals before putting any of this marketing spend live. I would say another one is not having any baseline metrics, meaning, you don't have anything to go off of with this property. It's really helpful when you're deciding on your spend and what's going on that you are asking, what's occupancy at? What has our struggles been at? Where are we needing things? Because if the management company is changing because it hasn't been performing well, the last thing you want to do is come in and turn the exact same things on and then you're not changing anything. Now they're like, what did I hire you guys for? This is all the same thing. Nothing's changing. I would say another one is ignoring reviews and other listings. We talk about this in digital curb appeal, but looking at those reviews that are coming in, we want to use that time to optimize and really look at how we can enhance the property. You might be inheriting a property that just doesn't have the best reviews. And that's not necessarily bad. And actually, I think it's easier to work the other way from it, right? You have bad reviews. Your management company goes in. Now you can start getting good reviews because you can say, hey, these new people came in and they made it a lot better, versus it being the other way around and now they're comparing you negatively to the previous one. So you can actually use those as an asset and really rely on building those up, making new ones again. We've talked about a few times with review management, announcing you're the new management and you want to fix these things. And then you've got two different sides to this. You've got marketing issues and then you could have operational issues. I would say they can't necessarily fix each other, each department, but being aware of what's going on operationally. If there is the pool failed inspection and it's not going to be leased and this isn't happening, okay, well, on our ILS listings and on our Google ads, let's not mention swimming pool as the very first thing people are seeing if it's not going to be open that summer. So it's just really making sure you're in tune and that everybody has an understanding. While marketing, yes, you may just be publishing the website and then, signing your contracts for vendors. You do want to make sure that you understand, what is going on operationally and then what's going on with the on-site team to make sure that they're connected to those leads and everything goes smoothly.
I don't want to go too far down the road, but when it comes to a takeover and you have, let's just say, a new management company replacing an existing management company, what type of messaging needs to go out to the existing residents that are literally at the property, right? So you have existing residents that are there. You have that transition taking place, and obviously you want it as smooth as possible. You want to remove any friction. So how do you think about the messaging for that stuff? Are you putting new messaging on your website to announce that? Are you putting it on your Google business listing? How are you doing that?
You can. I have seen it a few ways. So typically in takeovers, we actually would have a branded professional letter that would, go out to all the residents. It would be printed and put on their doors. One, just letting them know of what's coming, especially if it's going to affect any portal times, as in a takeover happens on the 30th or 31st of the month and rent is due the 1st. You really want to make sure you're getting ahead of those times. So again, it is smooth for your residents who are there. You don't want that to turn into the thing that then gets you 30 negative reviews. So making sure you're setting expectations clearly with the current residents. The management team, I think you have to also be understanding, may not know what's going on. There can be a lot of tricky things that happen in a takeover of, the current management company leaving and the new one either choosing to hire that team or not hire that team or purposely not hire that team. So there can be a lot of things that happen where the on-site team may not be as connected, may not care as much, may not, or know what's going on. Residents may come in asking them questions and they just don't know the answers. But as far as marketing materials, yeah, absolutely. I've definitely seen it where they have sold ownership. They're investing all this money into these properties. They are re-enhancing the amenities. They are going to do renovations on the units. They've got a great team in there now. And I've absolutely seen it advertised, even in pop-up specials of under new management, come see us today. And, they target reviews to do that. Or they go back to negative reviews and say, hey, we just took over this property. We would love to fix this issue with you. Please come by and see us. Putting it in your Google My Business, advertising like your About Me section, putting it on your social media under new management. That was always one we did, is like day of takeover, also announcing it on management, on social media. And yeah, so absolutely address it, and make sure it's known and clear for the people who are there.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what should be done pre-takeover. So if we're going to slow everything down before day one, what would you insist they do?
You absolutely want to do a full marketing and digital audit. Like we talked about, make sure you're activating all the right things that need to be activated, and then that they look correct and they're representing what you want to represent. And then doing a digital audit of saying, okay, this is where they are currently. This is my recommendations. And then going from there, especially based on occupancy needs. You want to make sure you're securing access to things like the website. A lot more goes into that than you may be ready for or thinking of. For example, we've talked about domains before on here, but where is your domain hosted? Who's going to be the website provider? These can be a lot of different things based on owners that are taking over that have certain preferences. Domains, and that can be tricky if you're transferring from certain domain providers to another. It could take more time. It's not day of. So you really need to look into these things to be prepared. Your website, who is it being hosted with? Do they have everything they need? Can they get it up in time? And then you've got your PMS, so making sure that, okay, it's takeover, we're live, the website is there. Are we sending the leads to the right place? What if we send all these leads and nobody gets them? You want to make sure any ad accounts, that you've got your access to that if you need, or that you're setting up everything you need for those to make sure everything's smooth. Analytics, call tracking, again, just making sure. The last thing you want to do is rush and get all these systems live and then move on to the next thing. And then 30, 60 days in, the team is like, I'm getting no leads. And then you find out it's because something's not connected the right way and they don't have the right tracking on their website. Oh, great. I've been sending them to a property in Wisconsin. Something like that is the last thing you want. And then you just want to, make sure you're setting expectations for the team. We always used to do another check-in with the team around roughly 30 days after takeover from a marketing perspective to make sure that everything they were seeing online was accurate, right? We didn't get to talk to somebody at takeover, so we only saw what we had online and what's in drop boxes. So then checking and seeing where they're running into any issues, and then making sure they know how to use all of our marketing platforms and where they are advertised, and maybe they have a new team, all of those things. And so just looking beyond occupancy, but making sure that they feel successful in their, takeover as well.
So I guess one of the things that is kind of a sticking point is passwords, logins, making sure you have all these from anything existing, right? I imagine that has just got to be painful when you think you have everything and you don't.
Oh my gosh. And then to go back and get it later is the worst. I've had to do that where it's like, oh, they pass us along this password for Instagram. Day of takeover, we go in, it's been changed. It's different. Now you're spending time after takeover's already happened. And how fast we move in the marketing world. We're already on to the next 5 properties. So then now you're fighting with this old management company with Sarah's cell phone, who was the ex-manager 3 years ago. It becomes so difficult and hard. So really doing those things and setting yourself up for success for the day of takeover. To me, the day of takeover from a marketing perspective should be the easy part. You should have all of it ready. It's literally just turning it on. You don't want to be having to deal with it afterwards.
Yeah. So maybe is that kind of done in the auditing process, making sure you literally have every single login that you could possibly need.
Absolutely.
With the passwords and all that stuff. So all right, everybody, make a note that's listening to this right now. Super important part. Do not forget all the different accesses that you will need and make it a point to make sure you have every single one before you take over that property. All right, so let's move right into the first 30 days. So we just kind of covered like the pre, right? What should we be thinking about before takeover date? So let's talk about the first 30 days. And, once this takeover happens, what should the first 30 days really focus on, Caroline?
Yeah, so this is really where it comes to refining it, right? You did all the hard part. You got all the ILS listings up. You've got the website up. You're going to do this part, like I was saying. We used to meet with the teams. We would just have a Teams call with them, and we would go through the website, literally pull the website up. Is this accurate? Is this still, what you're offering here? Are all these amenities live and up to date? It would shock you. The amount of times we'd get on a phone call and they're like, oh yeah, those pictures are 7 years old. That's not even our model anymore. And you're like, what? This is what was on everything and listed in the Dropbox. And we're like, okay, let's schedule a photographer for next week. What are we doing? And then Making sure again that the team is understanding how these systems work, responding to, reviews. We kind of had a standard of like not going past a few months old. Like you don't want to rehash old issues, but if it is recent reviews, you took over and you can make that change, definitely addressing it in the reviews. Like, hey, we're under new management. We'd love to fix this for you. I'm trying to gain new positive reviews when you get that. You want to confirm, of course, all your tracking is accurate, getting there and actually calling the phone while you're on the phone with them, making sure it's leading to the right place, making sure they understand how to use it. And then just making sure that the on-site team is in the same expectations as you are as far as company guidelines, and then also how to use all our marketing systems, where we're advertising, that they have the access they need, whatever it may be.
All right. Let's talk about moving past the day 30 mark. So let's say, the second month, days 31 to 60, where you're starting to turn all this chaos into real momentum. So at what point does the marketing really actually start working?
Yeah, we are officially out of what that learning time would be for services, like Google Ads, like paid social, things like that. You've gone through your learning time. Everything's leading and tracking accurately. The team knows what they're doing and that they're, getting their leads and everything. Now you can start making these data-backed decisions. Depending on when we get our takeover, we may not get historical data. We may not get GA4 access. We may not get any reports from the previous team. We don't expect to. So if you don't, you really don't have a lot to base this on besides the ownership saying, I wasn't getting leases. Okay. Like you don't have anything beyond that. So now you've actually got, 30 to 60 days worth of data to start making those adjustments and spend. Okay, this ILS isn't performing as well. Let's bump it up a notch, or, they're not getting enough leads at this level. Take them down a notch, put more in Google. Like now you've got the data as a marketer to back you up to your regionals and, to your marketing team of saying, this is where our spend actually needs to go. So, making sure that we're optimizing it, not just increasing and throwing a bunch of money at it. And then making sure that we're working on our lead quality. So again, not just throwing 400 leads at them, but making sure they have the right kind of leads. And then, just making sure the team is following up with them. Now they should have a good handle of what's going on. They don't have as much craziness going. They've got their vendors, they've got their logins. They're kind of in their normal day to day, and being able to make sure that they're following up with our expectations we set. And then now, especially if we undergo rebrand, we've got some, episodes on that too. We're going through naming a property, like whatever it may be. Now is when we can start getting out there, doing that outreach marketing. Really, our teams are now comfortable. They're familiar. The residents know us. Now we can start interacting again more with the community.
Great. Fantastic stuff. So moving into the month 3, if you would. So really setting up for long-term success. What do you think separates properties that stabilize from ones that really thrive long-term?
Absolutely. So definitely, continuing to refine our marketing mix and making sure we're watching that performance. Even though that we may inherit them at 60% and we take over within the first 60 days, they're up to 70%, making sure that we don't just forget about them and say, okay, takeover's done, but making sure that we're really refining what's going on, doing our quarterly updates and checks on those, making sure, again, especially in some kind of name change, but that we're establishing our brand and our consistency, our voice. Whether it's your management company has a specific brand and voice that they want to inherit into the property, or if this property is brand new and fresh and it needs its own brand and voice, and making sure we're consistent in that. And now we're training the teams to really take that charge and initiative, making sure they know how to read reports, making sure they know what's going on with their units, with their vendors, with their marketing, so that they feel empowered to tell us what's going on, if something's not going correctly or they have suggestions. And now we're kind of in that building process that lasts beyond the takeover window. They're part of the team now. They're super, super comfortable. They're going to these outreach events. They feel comfortable representing their brand and their property. And now we are just looking at, what we normally would, whether it's stabilization spend, whether it's still needing leasing help, or if we're in lease up, making sure that we're really hitting it hard, before we close our back door and what we're taking over and dealing with.
So we talked about kind of before the takeover, we talked about the first month, second month, and third month, basically covering the first 90 days of a takeover. So let's do a little bit of rapid fire with some takeover myths that need to go.
Okay.
All right. Okay. First one, Caroline, a little rapid fire here. More leads fixes everything. True or false? That's easy.
false, and this is one I hear probably every few weeks, is definitely that part where it's optimizing your spend and not just throwing a bunch of money at it.
I just thought more leads fixes everything, Caroline. No, not the case.
I know. Send them 500 a week.
Oh my gosh. So that wasn't easy. That one was too easy for you. Okay, here's the next one. Takeovers always take a year to stabilize.
Ooh, this is a good one. This is also a myth. I would say you can probably expect it's not necessarily 30 days, which I think something owners would need to be a little bit more aware of. Like, you're not just going to get in there and instantly lease them up to 100 and it be ready. You could be dealing with a lot of different things going on property, but it definitely shouldn't take a year, you know, whether you're coming into a lease up or I guess when you're considering stabilization, depending how early you come into your lease up. But no, as far as getting the team on track, it's just having a clear process and setting expectations. If you can get this down to like a fine-tuned machine, you know, you're nice and oiled and everything's going really well, then it should be a nice, clean process. And you go and treat it just like the rest of your assets once they're 30 days in.
All right, last rapid fire. If occupancy is low, marketing must be broken.
Oh, I wish I could have this one everywhere, like a giant sign behind me that says that. That is also going to be a myth. And I think something we also have to just make sure we're establishing with not only like ownership teams, but I mean regionals and managers and things like that. You know, when you take over a property, a lot is happening at one time to that property. You've got vendors changing. You've got make-readies that have been paused and they're getting picked back up. You've got, you know, collecting rent systems have changed. You've got your marketing's changing. Like, you have so much going on at one time. It can definitely be an aspect of it that you come in and you improve, but you could have a whole new team. You could have so many things going on that you inherit with your property. So not necessarily that marketing is broken. There could just be a disconnect between all of our different services there.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap the show up with one last question for you. I think this could be a good one. If someone listening right now is in a takeover, what's one thing they should focus on this week?
Ooh, okay. So I'm going to say one immediate fix is building out some kind of spreadsheet system for you to be able to track this process in. One thing to stop doing would be, let's not wait until day of takeover to fix this stuff and make sure it happens. You know, we talk so much about the pre and planning time. That's definitely very, very important. And then one long-term habit to build, I would say, is not forgetting about your property afterwards. I think we just move very fast and it's easy to say, okay, I'm on to the next one. I'm on to the next one. That team is the one still inheriting, you know, what they're having to deal with on site long-term. So making sure we don't forget about them and we get used to going back and touching those properties.
Awesome advice for sure. Hey, what about a takeover party? Is that something that properties do, right? They're taking over their like new management in place, like have like a full-on takeover party for the residents. Is that a good thing to do?
Absolutely. I love those, especially if you've got a new team involved. I love a meet the team party. It gets the community comfortable with, one, if they've never had like events and parties, like showing like, hey, we're really great. We're going to invest money into you guys and make you have a good time. And then two, making sure they get familiar with that team. It's less scary for those residents there if they feel like they get to know the team and that the team's putting in effort to come to them and like get mad about payment portals being down or whatever. They can see that they're really trying and struggling and that they get to know who they are too.
So that means roll out the food trucks and all that good stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. Treat them a little special.
Oh, beautiful. All right. Well, it's been awesome as usual. Caroline, thanks for all the insight on takeovers. This episode will publish this coming Wednesday. And as I said earlier, we will take the next few weeks off. We will resume recording with the first show being published that first week in January. I think it's the week of the January 5th, that Wednesday. We'll have a new show come out. And I want to appreciate everybody for listening today. If you like this episode, please share it with your friends, colleagues, on-site teams. And we will see you back on the new year 2026. Can you believe it, Caroline? It's
oh my
ahead
gosh,
so fast. I can't believe it.
It has moved so fast.
Oh, it has. So, all right, everybody out there, have a great holiday, and we will see you in the new year 2026. Take care. Take care, Caroline.
Happy holidays. Bye.